friends, and welcome back to our homestead. I want to introduce you to this wonderful herb called Creeping Charlie. It's a great herb to have, not just for medicinal purposes, but also as an edible herb, as an edible plant. And we need to know what it is. It's a wonderful plant to have. You know, if you Google Creeping Charlie on your Google search, the first thing that's going to come up is how to get rid of it. But I'm going to encourage you not to do that. It has so many wonderful uses. Not to confuse between the purple dead nettle, which is right here, these two guys, and Creeping Charlie. See how different they look? Okay. The purple dead nettle has those leaves that have a heart shape, even though the flowers are very similar, but they're different. Look at these. These look more like crowns. They both have square stem because they're both in a mint family, but this is purple dead nettle. That is wonderful, and I have a video about it. But this guy is Creeping Charlie. Very different, very pretty. Sometimes they grow side by side. They're both pretty invasive, and most gardeners want to get rid of them, but they are wonderful. Just not to confuse them. Both non-poisonous, and even if you get mistaken for with each other, they're very different, and they're both wonderful. I'm going to harvest a little bit here. I'm going to bring it home, and I'm going to tell you all about it. It is great herb to have. Because the name is Creeping Charlie and the other name is ground ivy, I've decided to wash them because you know my rule, when it's very close to the ground, very low to the dirt level, I wash them. So I wash them nicely under running water a few times, rinse off any kind of dirt that might be left on these plants. And then I use my salad spinner as always to remove the extra moisture because I don't need it anymore. At this point, I don't need it anymore. And they're nice and plumpy and fresh. So let's talk about Creeping Charlie or ground ivy. What is it that we can do with it? Okay, is it medicinal? Is it helpful? What is it? And as a matter of fact, it is very medicinal and it's very helpful. I know it's a nuisance in the garden for many gardeners, but here's the thing. It has many wonderful minerals and vitamins, starting with vitamin C. So it's wonderful for scurvy. One of those first things that pop out of the ground in the spring is ground ivy, and it's high in vitamin C, also in vitamin A. Also, it has potassium and iron. So overall, it's a good plant. It is an edible plant, but I do have to warn you, it has a pretty strong taste. So if you're not used to it's very pungent, astringent taste. It's in a mint family, and it has that minty aroma, especially when you run over with your lawnmower. But to taste, it has a little bit stronger taste. And yes, it can be used in cooking just like any other greens, but I would suggest not to overdo it with the amount, especially if you're not used to the taste, okay? How we like to use it is for medicinal home remedy purposes. So let's talk about that. This herb has many wonderful, strong, yet gentle at the same time properties. One of them is anti-inflammatory. So when someone who is dealing with pain or inflammation, this is your friend, okay? And I'm going to talk about more in detail for which elements this can be used. Also, it is antibacterial and antiviral. So very often it is used in the winter months. So this is why, since it's so prolific right now in my garden everywhere, I'm going to go ahead and preserve some for the winter months. So, you know, to say that this is a completely safe plant, you know, we always need to be cautious and know the side effects or potential dangers. So, a couple of things. One, it is not recommended to be used for pregnant women during pregnancy. So, pregnant women, please stay away from most herbs. Most of them are not safe for you. Also, ground ivy or Creeping Charlie is not safe for people with history of epilepsy, seizures. Okay, so that's something also not recommended for them. And on the other note, it is not a good idea to use it in abundance, in a large quantities, because this can affect your kidneys and liver. All right, so that's out of the way. I also want to mention that everything you hear on my channel, please do your own research. And if you like to talk to your provider about herbs and safety for your case, please do so. Don't rely just on my stories, because everything you hear on YouTube, you should verify with your own research. All right. Okay. So if you don't mind, I'm going to start working on preparation of this herb. And first things first, after washing, of course, I'm going to chop it into small chunks to expose more surface area, whether it is for any kind of preparation. And what I'm doing is I'm just chopping them up. This can be done with scissors or with anything else. I do not like to use a blender because it turns into mush, and I don't like that. Instead, I just like to bruise it and kind of open up more surface areas of this aerial parts. All right, what are the preparations I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be doing two preparations. I'm going to get this ready for a dehydrator to make tea in the future, and I'm chopping this up to make a tincture, or as some people call a tonic, or yeah, tincture. And I'm going to be using 100 proof vodka. I always like to use 100 proof vodka. If I have a chance to use Everclear, that is 190 or 195 proof, that's even stronger. But for some reason, I really gravitate towards 100 proof vodka because it's 50% water, 50% alcohol, and I find that this comes out the best for me. I try not to use 80 proof because I think it's not strong enough, but again, it's up to you. All right, so as I'm working on it, let me share with you what properties this herb has and what we can use it for. One of them, we can use it for respiratory health. So winter months, it's wonderful aid in recovering from bronchitis, sinusitis, head cold, congestion. It's really good as an expirant, so it helps to cough up that junk sometimes during a cough. Okay, so I'm just cutting it up and I'm filling it up in my clean glass jar because that's how I like to make my tinctures. Okay, so besides the respiratory health, it has digestive health as well. It supports digestive health. So when we have issues of diarrhea, upset stomach, that also can be used. Okay, so it has many properties. But guess what? It's also helpful in the fight against kidney stones and kind of like as a diuretic because it helps to flush out extra fluids from your body. So it's a mild, gentle diuretic. Okay, so keep in mind, as a diuretic, you may lose some electrolytes, but the beauty of this herb, God is so amazing in his creation. See, this herb has also potassium. Guess what often happens when we take diuretics? We flush out, we lose potassium, but not with this one because this one is a natural potassium herb. All right, let's continue. So besides that, as I've mentioned, it is a natural anti-inflammatory. And as a natural anti-inflammatory, it has ability to help you with that pain and discomfort in the joints, in the muscles. So it takes that inflammation down. As a matter of fact, I read in some literature that it can help with ear pain. Not to say that it's going to take the infection away, but it's going to help to reduce that pain in the ear as well. I think that's fantastic. Okay. All right. So pain, inflammation, that's a big one. It also helpful in skin issues. So if you are outdoors working, got a scrape, got a bruise, got a little wound, this is also can be turned into fresh poultice and applied directly to that area. And it's going to be natural, antibacterial, and kind of like help to clean up that wound a little bit. Hi, baby. What a good girl. At the end of blossoming, they create these pods. Those are the seeds. Check them out. Aren't they funky looking? Those are not tumors. Those are seed pods. So be careful. They're going to go all over your yard. Isn't that fun? I like to use the stems the leaves and the flowers, and I don't separate them. I go ahead and use all of it in the preparation. If you're going to be using this for edible purposes, for eating, stems are a little bit strong, so most people use flowers and leaves when they're using them, adding them to cooking, okay? All right, so let me keep on using this. So guess what? This has a fantastic property of detoxification. So herbs, this particular herb is a wonderful natural detoxifier. It helps to remove heavy metals. That is not very common with all of the herbs, but this herb has that property. It helps to remove extra aluminum or mercury or lead from the body. So heavy metals, watch out, because ground ivy, creeping Charlie, is here to help. Okay, it's going to help to remove. One of the interesting things that this has is also it helps in fight with ringing in the ears, tinnitus. Not many things help with tinnitus, but this one has that property. It helps to fight tinnitus. So how much am I gonna do? I'm gonna push it down a little bit. Give me a second. So I'm gonna do a folk method. Folk method means no measurements, no weighing. So I'm gonna do about 3/4 of the way up of plant material, and then I'm gonna fill everything with 100 proof vodka. So this is a folk method. It's gonna be the old-fashioned way, like our ancestors used to do. All right, keep chopping. So quick review, okay? It's high in vitamin A, vitamin C, potassium, and in iron. It can be edible, but it's pretty strong, so watch out. Don't overdo it because it can be toxicity. Definitely don't take it if you're pregnant and if you have history of epilepsy, seizures. However, this can be used in preparation as tea or as tincture in very strong infusion, like maceration in alcohol. All right. So, and it can be helped with respiratory health when it's cough, bronchitis, head cold, congestion. It helps to cough up as an expirant. It's also helpful in GI. Remember, we talked about GI health, and it helps with upset stomach, diarrhea. It's helpful with kidney health, kidney stones, urinary tract. It helps to diurese, to help to move that fluid out. We also mentioned heavy metal detox, okay? So that can be helpful. We also talked about skin and for local like abrasions and not infectious, but like abrasions and cuts and bruises, that sort of thing. They can be used as poultice. And we also mentioned that it can help with inflammation and pain. Those are wonderful properties. And that's what I usually use for in my tea. But remember I mentioned about tinnitus, ringing in the ear? It's a fantastic little aid for that. Or ear pain when we have inflammation in the ear canal. All right, when somebody who has ear infection, there's inflammation in the ear canal, so that helps to remedy that as well. Okay, so I think I am pretty much where I want to be. Let me push this down a little bit more. I just want to make sure I may have, yeah, oh yeah, I got space. Let me put more. So I know it's a nuisance in your garden. I know many people don't know how to get rid of it, and they're pulling this out by roots. But guess what? It transmits not just because it's a ground ivy and through roots, but it also transmits through seeds as well. So I mean, it's gonna invade your back property. I can promise you, it's gonna be everywhere. So fighting with this is not easy. So I say embrace it. Don't fight it, embrace it and use it for medicinal purposes, okay? On the other hand, God knows exactly what He's giving you. Oh, hi, little bug. Run away, run away. God knows exactly what He's giving us, okay? And if it's growing prolifically, prolific. Take two. The word is prolifically. English is not my first language. You can tell. So when it's growing prolifically in our backyards, that means because we need it. And that means we should be paying attention what our feet are stepping on. That means there's something that might be useful for our health. All right. So, okay, I think I'm pretty done with this pile of herbs for my tincture. I think it's pretty full. Let's take a look. I think I'm done. Okay, I'm gonna push it in a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm done. I think it's good. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and cover everything with vodka. Of course, for those who do not like to use alcohol, vinegars can be used, but I'm gonna warn you about vinegars. It's not gonna be as strong and it's not gonna last a long time, for sure. It's gonna have a much shorter shelf life. See, vodka-based tinctures can last anywhere from 3 to 10 years, okay? But when it's based on vinegar, they're much shorter. So, all right, I'm just going to make sure that everything, if I had a skewer right here, but I'm outside, I'm gonna make sure that alcohol gets between all the nooks and crannies everywhere. What happens sometimes that many herbalists don't warn you about is that a few days, I wanna say maybe like a week after you started the tincture, if you open it, you will notice that the level of liquid went down a little bit. So it's okay to go ahead and add more. Why? Because you want all of these herbs to be under the liquid line, okay? You don't want it to be exposed and getting oxidized. You want it to be under. Also, I am going to go ahead and place a label on it because guess what? It's easy to forget what it is. So I have a label on it. I always write what it is, when I made it, okay? Just a quick little label, when I made it, and when it's due to be strained, because it's going to be strained in about 6 to 8 weeks. So it's about 2 months. For the first week, I like to shake it once or twice a day, okay? I like to shake it. I put it in a dark closet in my apothecary where it's away from the sunlight. I like to shake it once or twice a day, if I remember. But then after that, 1 shake a week is sufficient enough. As a matter of fact, there were times when I forgot to shake them at all and they were perfectly fine. At the end of the maceration time, 6 to 8 weeks, I need to strain it. You can use a cheesecloth, you can use a press, you can use whatever you like. But I like to squeeze all of that goodness out of those leaves. And then tinctures must be stored in a dark amber glass container with a dropper, because tinctures are a very strong home remedy and we use them in drops. Okay, so that is my tincture. It's gonna go in my apothecary. The next thing I'm going to be working on is I'm just going to be chopping them up and I'm going to put them on a dehydrating tray just like this. And it's going to go in a dehydrator where I have a setting that says herbs. It's the lowest setting. Okay, the lowest setting. I'm going to put it on herbs and it's going to dehydrate until they become nice and crisp. Not dark. You don't want to fry them because you're going to kill off all the good properties out of it. They still should be green, but they're going to be nice and crispy. They should crumble in my hands. Also, I'm going to be storing them in a dry glass jar away from the sunlight because I don't want any kind of influence of the sun breaking down my dry herbs. So this is how I preserve Creeping Charlie. I don't know who decided to blame Charlie for being creepy. But anyway, ground ivy, it's a wonderful plant to know. So please learn what it looks like, learn to identify it. It's a really pretty plant. Know how to use it. So friends, be encouraged and try something new.